Hello, my name is Akshay, and today I'll be taking your first class of economics as a part of your GK curriculum for CLAT. So, for our first class, I would like to talk about the types of economies present in the world and how they're classified. To first understand this, it's important that we understand the word economics. It comes from the Greek word of oikos, which means family. And the most known definition of economics is the study of the man in his ordinary business of life. That means that where he works and how he consumes or spends his money. Two things, how he earns the money and how he spends the money. Both are taken into account. So what we get to know is how he acquires his money and how he uses it. So two sides, the study of the wealth, and on the other hand, the study of the psychology of the man, how he chooses to consume or spend. So, types of economies. Economies are the division, depends on the type of government policies throughout the world, where a country stands in development or progression, and how the people of that country are in general, and how they view it on different types of philosophies. But more or less, it depends on how the government influences decisions. So, there are four types we'll study today: capitalist economy, a socialist economy, a communist economy, and a mixed economy. So, let's get to it. Your first is the capitalist economy. You can understand this as where in capitalism, private means and private corporate ownership is encouraged. This means that profits are the number one cause in such an economy. Everyone is driven to increase or maximize their profits, which is the number one aim of corporates, corporate firms, profit, or private entrepreneurships. So in this kind of system, we have no kind of interference of the government in the economy, and the basic laws of supply and demand are what control the economy. This leads to an efficient economy which caters to the needs and wants of the people. And here, the main characteristic can be understood as competition is the main regulator, not some government agency, but a competition regulates the market. So, there's a rivalry in supply or getting a goods or service. So, this can be seen in a lot of areas. But first of all, I'll let you know, I can give you no perfect examples of a capitalist economy because we do not have one. We have some kind of government interference or inclusion, depending on a degree, but there's no pure or perfect capitalist economy which has 100% private ownership and no government interference. But on the other hand, the closest thing we might have is the United States of America, where corporates are easy to make, easy to break. A lot of people believe in them, and they, to a large extent, do not have to follow a lot of like legal or tedious bureaucracy or red tapeism, as that is called, and that's why you have so much competition, and that's why you have the biggest firms in America as well. For example, Amazon, Apple, and Google, the three biggest firms of today's day, all are from the United States of America. Because competition is allowed to flow there with ease compared to other countries where there's a lot of bureaucracy involved. So what this leads to is, if I have a demand for a bicycle and a bunch of people do as well around me, people realize this demand and act on it as fast as they can. So someone with a capitalist means and an entrepreneurship spirit realizing this demand will go up, set up a bicycle factory, get all the raw materials, the tires, the metal, the other capital goods required to make that bicycle, and make it as fast as it can to meet my need or demand of a bicycle. In this kind of system, there is no such government interference to say that the bike should be this high, or the pedal should be this move in a certain way, or the type of metal I can use, or in that factory, the kind of The kind of effluents or the kind of discharge or waste should not be thrown in a river, but it has to be treated before it is thrown out. These kind of interplays or government regulations are not present in a capitalist economy. And since there is not all of this, but it's only profit maximization, firms grow fast and firms go down fast because there's no one to stop them once they stop making profits. There's no one to hold back. So that's why in the capitalist economy you can see a lot of growth and a lot of big corporate firms trying to meet your supply and demand. Second, we have a socialist economy. So I shall do a socialist economy and a communist economy together. So in a socialist economy, the means and methods of production are owned in a state, which are used to satisfy human needs instead of generating profits. So as I told in the first one, for capitalist economy, the main aim of corporates is to maximize profits. Here, in this case, the only satisfactory level required of the government is to match human needs by the various resources they own. In a communist economy, instead of the means of production being owned by the government, they are owned by the state, like the property, assets, resources, capital, goods, capital, and etc. So now I'll take both of these together to explain you, because I'll tell you one thing. In a communist economy, even if the people own if the working class, as it says, the working class owns everything, the means of production, everything. So what that happens is, even if, say you have a population of 10 million people, right? And everybody owns everything. Fine. But who's going to control it? Who's going to make the decisions? It can't be those 10 million going up to the parliament and making those decisions. No. You have a select few people which are chosen as the government who run the decisions on behalf of the working class people. So theoretically, a communist government and a socialist government might be different, but practically they're the same, where you have a few chosen people which identify themselves as the government, make decisions for the country. Now, the key features of this economy is, say there's person A and person B. I work 5 hours a day, you work 10 hours a day. But each day, at the end of the day, you get paid $100, I get paid $100. You worked harder, I worked less. You didn't take a lunch break, I did. I took a 2-hour lunch break, but we still get paid the same. So the question arises, why should you work harder than me? Like, you'd ask yourself this, if I'm getting the same piece of the pie as I am, even though you've worked twice as hard, you've taken a larger toll on your body, and you spend more time away from your family, why would you work hard? No, you would not. You'd slack off. That's why a communist economy and socialist economy run into two problems. One, there's low production. Neither you nor I am incentivized to work hard because there's no separate gain I can achieve out of that. People, in general psychological terms, are driven by competition, and the results of that competition should be better for me if I work harder. But if that kind of interplay does not exist, there's no such incentive to make new companies, take risk. And risk is needed. Like, all amazing companies were born out of risk, whether it be Amazon, Facebook, Google, Apple, all of them. But that risk does not exist in a communist economy because no matter what you do, we are paid the same. This leads to low production and mass poverty because there's no growth within the economy. There's no one thriving to become better, to learn more, or do better. Everybody's slacking off because they know at the end of the day, they still get their piece of the pie, no matter how small it might be, because it'll be the same small piece for other people. So that's one of the main problems we run into with a socialist economy and a communist economy. And therefore, I'll give you examples of this. The Russian, which is the biggest, like you could say, influencer or like really propagandized the communist economy, it failed. It was known as the USSR. United States of Soviet Republic. It failed. It collapsed. Now it's a democracy, run as a semi-capitalist than my mixed government. Because it's hard. It's hard to run as a nation, pay your taxes, grow, compete with other nations in the world, where your main population, your working class, is disincentivized. China also ran in the same problem. But their solution was to have the de jure name of being a communist economy. So I want you to search this up. De jure, that's DEJURE, and de facto. China is a de jure communist economy, as is written in their the Chinese constitution and everything. But de facto, DEFACTO, they are a capitalist economy, which also has a lot of private ownership and corporate means, which further growth. So I want you to search up these two things, de jure and de facto. There are legal terms, but they will come in handy. So yeah, so China also, you should understand the wordplay here. It might be a name, it might be a communist economy where the working class supposedly owns everything, but de facto or practically that is not the case. Practically, they have corporate means, they have big firms with entrepreneurship skills, and that is why most of the things we see today, or with most of the things you own, are Chinese made because they have corporate and like firm ownership dealing with that. And the last thing, the last type of economy, which is the only type of economy which we see really in the world, is a mixed economy. Mixed economies range from India, Brazil, Argentina, America, Russia, Canada, England, France, Germany. Here there's a combination of the public sector and the private sector. The public sector makes decisions, takes tax from you, and provides you with such goods which are not profitable. So they have to tax you to provide those goods, which are equally available to all. I want you to give me an example, or I want you to think of an example where the government taxes you and provides you with such a good which is not profitable and therefore no private sector would create. I'll give you one. Roads and the public lights you see outside. Roads are not profitable. You don't pay to go on the road and spend time on it or drive on it. But it's necessary. It's necessary to get to place A to place B. If you're walking, you need it. If you're driving, you need it. If you're going by a bus, you still need it. So that's how the government provides for it. So in a mixed kind of economy, there's an interplay between the public sector and the private sector. The public sector units, the government makes decisions, and in the private sector unit, the businessmen make decisions. And this is well divided. In some say they might interlap. You can have public banks, like the State Bank of India, and you can have private banks, like HDFC. But a lot of cases are specifically dealing with public sector and private sector. Say maintaining a military. How can the private sector charge me for maintaining a military? It's not profitable. They can't, nobody really needs a military on a personal basis. Say I need to drink water while I'm on the go. I need this water bottle on a personal basis. But that does not qualify for the military or the armed resources we have in the northern regions fighting our wars for us. But they still do exist. And we do need them at a larger scale for the protection of this nation. But if asked to pay for it, you wouldn't pay for it out of your pocket. That's why you need the public sector, which will tax you. I get taxed on things that I buy. I get taxed on my salary, on my income, on my corporate means. And that indirect tax indirectly pays for the roads. It pays for the other goods, which I wouldn't need directly, but I do need indirectly. Alright, this is all for your first class. Thank you so much, guys.